heaven. And 3 months after I sell the business, I'm vacationing in New Zealand, and I'm there with my wife and kids, and it's a perfect place. And I remember going to God and saying, God, if this is all you have, if this is all you have, God, just take me right now, because I don't want to live. I want to die. Wow. And that was probably the worst time in my life. There was just nothing left.
So this is depression,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in a very dark place. Mm-hmm. Inside you is a very dark place, even though around you.
Yeah, on the outside everyone's congratulating me. It's one high five after another. Yo, we want to be just like you. But man, deep down, and the irony was, Debbie, is that not one person asked me how I was doing. Everyone just assumed I had everything, and therefore I was happy.
Yes. Okay, so what happened?
Well, that was December, and I hit rock bottom, and by God's grace, I didn't commit suicide, but I was just, I was at the dead end. And 3 months later, we get back from New Zealand, and I'm having lunch with this guy, and he's the principal of my kids' Christian school. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time in my life where anyone has ever asked me, is there something missing in your life? And I looked at this guy and I thought, he asked me earlier, you're really good and you donate and you do all these things for the school and you're always involved, but I get the feeling there's something missing.
Wow.
And I was like,
were you offended?
Yeah, I was, because I thought, what are you talking about?
Right.
He goes, I get the feeling there's something missing in your life. And I stood back and I thought, but I was open with this guy. I said, Randy, I don't have purpose. I don't have meaning. I have no idea why I'm on this earth. I know how to make money and I know how to do good things, but quite frankly, I just don't want to be here anymore. Mm. I don't have a purpose for getting up in the morning. Mm. And he said, come into my office. I want to introduce you to this guy. And, in the back of my mind, I thought, okay, Tony Robbins, hey, everything's cool, everything's happy, happy, happy. So, but I get in my car, he gets in his car, and I drive to his office. And I'm also thinking, this guy's a Christian principal. I'm going to be in a Christian principal's office. I hope he doesn't talk to me about God.
Attending church, kids in school, the whole thing, and you don't want to be approached about God.
I didn't want to talk about God that afternoon because I prayed to God every night. I prayed to God every night, and God was holy and He was righteous and He was good, but He was over there, and I was stuck in, the things that I struggled with. Right. He said, so I walk in his office, and I still remember vividly just walking in his office, and he's got a Bible right there on the table, and I'm like, oh my goodness, okay. It's like a setup, I'm gonna have to talk to this guy about God. And sure enough, he sat me down, and
but you could talk to anybody about anything, I'm gonna guess, in the business world. Mm-hmm. You could talk to anybody about anything. Mm-hmm. But in this moment, were you afraid to talk about God?
I was just nervous about it because
you knew you weren't right.
Yeah.
You knew you weren't right.
Yeah. On the outside, my house was in order. Right. But in the inside, I was like dead man's bones. I was full of pride. Everything was about me. Number two, greed. If I had $1 million, I wanted $2 million. $2 million wasn't enough. $3 million. Well, if I could just have 10. Oh, now that I've got 20, all I need is another 5. So it was this constant accumulation of stuff. And so anyway, I walk in his office, and he looks at me and he sits me down and he said, Aurelia, I've got some really good news and some really bad news. And I said, okay. He goes, I want to share this with you. What do you want to hear first? And I said, okay, give me the bad news. What's the bad news? He said, Aurelia, the only difference between you and I is that when I die, he said, I'm going straight to heaven. But when you die, you're going straight to the pit of hell. And man, I was blown away. I was like, that was my fear. I had a fear of dying, I didn't want to be here. I wanted to die, yet I was afraid to die.